Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Drumroll, the Feisty Aphrodite. I am Dr. Teralyn, and I'm here with my co-host,
Yes.
Jessica.
Just
Jess,
about sex. Yeah.
Jess about sex. Is that how we're describing you? Is that
I think
what
so. I think that's caught on. Like that's just my
Jess
name now.
Jess about sex? I'm going to have to remember that. Dr. Teralyn, Jess about sex. So we are going to talk about everything that's sexy and fun. And we both just got back from some trips. So I think we're a little bit more rejuvenated than we typically are, maybe,
Yeah.
or
Thank goodness.
sad. I don't know. I always get this weird sadness.
Oh, I
You know?
had full on depression the night I had to pack and leave and come back to this super duper cold. Yeah.
Yes, it is. I mean, I literally came back from 80 degrees. Today is minus 15.
Yep.
So I'm like, what just happened? I'm literally here in my pajamas this morning doing this. I'm like revolting against anything that is Wisconsin right now. Or
Oh,
my life, maybe. I think
yeah.
I'm
And I
still in
see you have
hiding.
a tan, so that's like not fair. I came back the same whitish color that I am, still see-through. Yeah.
Well, it's weird because like I do Florida tan and now it comes on pretty quick, but I have these weird face blotches. So it makes it look more tan than I am. It's just more discoloration because I'm old. We'll go with that. So anyway, it's tough. So today we're gonna tackle some pop culture news that we found and kind of go through what our thoughts are on it and dispel some myths and bring in some education and have a little fun. All right, you ready? Okay, so you just had sent me an article about someone that we actually had looked at before because her website is actually pretty appealing if you ask me. But she showed up in Cosmopolitan, and that's what we're going to talk about. So I'll pull the article up to get everyone started here. So
if you're listening to us, make sure you go on to our YouTube channel so you can see the video from this because we're showing the article.
oh, that's right. This is going to be right. So if you're listening, good call. If you're listening, go over to YouTube on either of our channels and you'll see this. So this is a Cosmopolitan article that I'm sharing, and I'm just going to share a little bit of it and then we'll get back to talking about it. And so it is about the title says, as a Chinese sex editor, I have a lot to say about that racist, wrong as hell Kung Fu vagina video. And they're talking about, I'm sorry if I get her name incorrect, Kim Anami. Is that correct? Is that correct?
I think that's right.
Okay.
That's how you say her name. So
all right, Kim Anami. And so Kim Anami is someone who I guess helps people with sex and sexual energy and all that, right?
yeah,
You know
so
more
this
about
is
her than I
like
do.
why you need to be informed consumers is because anyone can call themselves a coach, and she does consider herself a holistic sex and relationship coach. And like she's getting some feedback from Cosmo about some of her practices, and this is all coming about because she's launching her course again. So she's creating videos that are getting attention, that's for sure.
Yeah, they are. I mean, she does a good job, and she does a good job with shock value too. So when you see her, she always has something hanging out of her vagina, like literally like a coconut or a coconut on a string or a barbell on a string. She actually, doesn't she have a world record for how much weight she can hold from her vagina? I believe so. Guinness
Yeah,
Book of World Records.
so
I don't know.
she's a vaginal weight lifter. I'll say that again, a vaginal weight lifter. So essentially, like she is holding something, doing Kegels so hard that she's able to hold weight. Yeah.
Right.
So her video or her pictures, our shock value, show her holding different various things
From her vagina.
Yes.
Yes. And it's interesting because I always, okay, a little off topic. Like I think about this, like how does one know that they can hold things from their vagina? Like, how do you get to the point in your life where you're like, you know what, I'm kind of bored and I'm just gonna like put stuff up my vagina that's on a string and see if I can hold, what do you start with? Like a cell phone? Like, what do you
Me,
start with?
it have to be a feather because I,
Start with a feather first.
oh,
Move
look,
to
I'm gonna hold this feather. Yeah, sure.
move to like a pencil or a pen, something lightweight, and then move yourself up. Like it reminds me of, when you look through Guinness Book of World Records, there's weird stuff in there. And you think, how in the world did you ever get the idea to try this weird thing,
Mhm.
to do this? Anyway, that's a complete side note that gets me thinking about that. Like in what in what space in your mind do you think, what can
Right.
I do?
You go from here to here.
To here to here. But
Mhm.
kind of the biggest thing with this article and with her work is, number one, and I think you need to share more with people about what it means to actually be a certified sex therapist or sexologist versus not. And because I think that's important to distinguish. And the second thing is that what some people promote in this industry is, kind of counterintuitive to what actually our bodies can do.
Right.
Most of our bodies can do, which creates a whole layer of problems for women in particular. So, she promoting like, if I can't hold a bowling ball for my vagina, like my vagina isn't tight enough or good enough, or you know what I mean? And what if I could never do that? What if I'm always the feather girl? I don't know,
Mhm.
So what are your thoughts on that? Let's start with like, what's the difference between someone who is certified and someone who is not?
Y'all, I got a lot to say about this whole
Yes.
topic.
Good.
I think coaching has taken over, and what coaching programs are really good at is teaching marketing and selling.
Hmm.
Guess what we don't have as therapists in our class?
Marketing. Hmm.
Marketing and selling.
And in full disclosure, I mean, Jess and I do have coaching packages,
Right.
but we also have tons of education that can bring us to that point.
Right. I mean, look at my YouTube. I'm 100 years old because I've been going to school for 100 years. It's just I've had lots of Botox.
If
That's
you're
why.
100, I'm 200.
But for us,
Serious. I'm like a dinosaur over here.
that's what it feels like. Is like we went to school for a very long time.
Very long.
We're talking a bachelor's, we're talking about a master's, we're talking about PhDs. We're talking about, being in residency for, I was in for, my bachelor's, I had an internship. My master's, I had an internship.
Mhm.
Then we had to do 2 years of practice under the supervision of another person. You don't find that. I mean, even nurses aren't required to have the 2 years
No.
of additional supervision, which is a shitty system as it is, because you're either paying for it yourself or you're in the lowest pain field or part of the field at the time. But we have an extensive amount of education. And
Wait a minute. I just want to say something. We have an excruciatingly
yes,
extensive, like it's excruciating. Yes. So it's hard when someone comes on as a coach that doesn't have all this. Not to mention all of that formalized education, the amount of legitimate certifications and things that we both have and many therapists have beyond that. Like I probably have $300,000 worth of education and certifications and those certifications required more supervision, you know?
yeah, and we call it practice because our practice because we are practicing. Doctors are practicing. So I did 800 sessions last year. You're not going to see coaches that have this magnitude of seeing that many people, having that much education. They usually go, I healed myself. Now I'm going to heal
Yep.
others. Well,
Now, in full disclosure, a lot of therapists do that too.
yeah,
Like they go to school
they
to
are
be therapists because of something they've done or are going through. So there's that too. But you're
right,
right. I think the culture of coaching is like, I did it myself so I can show you how to do it.
right.
And sometimes they're right. I mean, sometimes it works, but other times you get in Cosmopolitan magazine with a hand slap, you know?
Well, and the thing is, Just because it worked for you doesn't mean that that's what works for everyone. And your messaging is really about how I healed self. And I'm seeing this a lot in relational and, within sex coaching or intimacy coaching. It's like, I did this for myself and I learned how to have an orgasm. Now I'm going to teach you how to do it. Right. Well, like that's not a universal truth applied to everyone. You need to have the theory, you need to know, you need to have the practice, you need to have the education, you need to have the knowledge, you need to know how to take yourself out of the equation. Because honestly, like that has been, for many therapists, the biggest challenge in our work is like how to be there in a non-judgmental way and not be thinking, oh, this happened to me, I know exactly what you need to do. No, when I come to my sessions, it's bringing to the table all of my knowledge to help you. My focus is on my person right in front of me, not how it reminds me of something that happened to me, because that's not where I'm coming from a place of. That's not my platform, is that I healed myself. Now let me heal you.
Well, can you just imagine? So there's a ton of research out here that actually supports what we're talking about, that therapists or, people in these professions don't have to go through exactly what the client is going through to be effective, right? That's the thing. And I say this all the time. Can you imagine if I had to have every disorder and every problem and every addiction and every that my clients have had? And I have had clients say like, well, I'm really looking for somebody that's been through what I've been through. And I say that, I'm like, so you want a therapist that's been through everything, so you can say, oh yes, you've been through so many things. I said, that is a hot mess. That's what you're looking for, is a hot mess. I would be a hot mess if that was a requirement, to be in this profession, is to go through what everybody else has gone through.
Well, and did you pick your doctors based on that? Like, oh, Dr. So-and-so, did you also have diabetes? And they're like, no. And you're like, fuck right off. I got to find a new dude.
Great point. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great point. Or like go to a hand surgeon who has a mangled hand. Like, you would never do that, please no, I want somebody else, like,
hey sir, it looks like you've had a transplant from a gorilla. I need you, because I definitely want someone that's also got a mangled hand.
Exactly. That's a really valid point. And frankly, I've never really looked at it like that, but that is really kind of brings things in perspective.
And I gotta say, like, TikTok, thanks for the marketing, but come on now, like, everyone thinks that they're a professional on there. And I am seeing people coaching and giving out information that is wrong. I'm seeing misinformation shared about STIs. I'm seeing advice about having sex despite having herpes, because everyone already has it anyways. I'm seeing information on how to choke someone. Y'all, my malpractice would drop me so fast if I was telling anyone how to choke someone, because that's incredibly dangerous. And it's against, the institution that I went to school for to discuss it. And my malpractice would not continue to be a provider to me if they found out that I was doing that. So what I see is really unhealthy things coming from the coaching industry. And I think that's what we're getting to with this article, is like, what is grounded in science and what is shock value? And I love woo, like, come on now, like, astrology, like I'm wearing my, my moon sign, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. I bring that with into my practice, but I'm not weightlifting anything with my vagina over here. I'm not
weightlifting, period. So here we are. Maybe I should, I don't know.
And I've got to say, like, there's a cultural emphasis on gorilla grip, and being so tight and having these muscles. But for the majority of women, they're actually unable to relax muscles. So we've got to focus on the wrong thing. And we have people that are calling themselves experts that are providing this information. And I've got to come at some of these places that are featuring her, because when you look at her media list, she has written for Cosmo before. So, F you, Cosmo, if you're going to feature this person and then not, and then later you're going to criticize this person.
Right.
Like her media list is huge. People, women's health. I haven't looked to see what she's, contributed to articles. Shape, New York Post, In Touch.
She's got a big media. She's top tier media,
Top tier media, just like me. So
just like me.
yeah, yeah. So I'm featured in the media, but who are we going to call experts? And why does Cosmo feature this person? And then later they come down on this person for some of the very things that they probably.
Well, I'm going to tell you why, because she has a good PR person.
Yeah.
And that PR person has probably pitched her,
Mm-hmm.
and so PR. Okay. So we could get PR people then need to do a little bit better job of vetting who they're pushing out, especially in this. I mean, I get, my PhD gets me a lot of media these days, especially with mental health stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, it's funny. I was thinking about this because really, when I talk to, I just did some TV and radio last week. And when I talk to them, they just kind of go, oh, well, she's good. So, because we got this article from my PR, because I have a PR person for my PR person, and so I can see how easy it is to get, it's not easy. I can see how, well, I guess once you get to that point, how easy it is to get into some top tier media because they're not vetting. Now, this person who did this article, she clearly did a little vetting, but it wasn't because of what she's doing necessarily. It was the cultural appropriation of what her kung fu, whatever it was that she was talking about. That's what she was talking about in this article. And then, so we've got more to say about that too, because Jess came across an article from, what do we say, 4 years ago?
It's about 4 years ago, from the Washington Post about, like something in this person's repertoire is using a jade egg. I personally have never used one. I can't speak from a place of it didn't work for me, but I can speak from a place of, gynecologists don't recommend this practice. They don't find anything that's helpful with this practice. Come to my house, there's crystals all over. Have I shoved one in my vagina? No, at this point, I've not. I'm not.
At this point, does that mean you're leaving it open for discussion later?
Well, after the article, I bought a jade egg because for me, like, I'm gonna try shit out. Like is this the secret guarded, practice of boosting your orgasm by sticking a jade egg up your vagina? Okay, like, I don't see the research that implies that it's helpful, but I know that,
or healthy. I mean, like, what can a jade egg do? It's got
I
to
think
be.
it's like holding one in is much like kegels, but also that there's
It's
healing
porous,
properties
but
of.
isn't it porous? I mean, like, can it create infection or something like that too?
Yes, so that does, I have read about that these can create infections. They could be breeding grounds for bacteria.
Right.
Like, you need to be inserting that with lubrication. You need to be cleaning these appropriately. Can you truly clean something that is a living, it's not living, but I mean, it's a porous natural material. Like, I don't know, but so I mean, I bought one, so I'm like, I'm gonna try this out. I might get a horrible infection and I need, my doctor on speed dial for that. But
if she can't sit in our next episode, we know why.
you know why? I'm weightlifting, y'all. Leave me be.
Vaginal weightlifting.
But I mean, there's another article about, how the Gwyneth's website has kind of started this trend of putting up there a jade egg. But she's also started the trend of vaginal steaming. What like,
What is it that we're trying so hard to accomplish with
yeah,
changing our vagina or our bodies or our female being to, I don't know, be more appealing? Is it because we believe that we're not appealing in that area? Like, and well, even on TikTok, like, I see, the reference to the vagina and roast beef and the way it should look and people getting it changed. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? I don't really understand what we're doing, and I think when we modify our bodies like that, like, it could probably make sex worse because you're dealing with so many nerve endings and, all of this stuff. So it's just, it's a fascinating thing. And I just think, people need to know who they should work with and who they shouldn't,
Right.
and I'm not saying this person can't bring anything to the table,
Right.
but I'm saying, like, the shock value and the promises, that she's making, could make a person feel less than if they can't achieve, lifting a coconut with their vagina, or having, as a result of that, having a different type of orgasm that they've never had before. It always brings up the what's wrong with me that I can't do this thing, you
Right.
know. So I just think the messaging is scary, right?
It's just another area of marketing focused on women's issues that make you feel inferior and that you need another product to help you out.
Mhm.
Most people spend,
Or program, yeah, product or
yeah,
program, yep.
most people are spending, it's a part of the beauty industry, which is it's a $1 billion industry because, they focus on women who, are easy to be marketed to in regards to their physical appearance, um,
Mhm.
their sexuality, because, you get a divorce, and it's kind of like, well, what weren't you providing to your partner?
Right.
So it comes down to the women again. And, like I think I heard a number that women spend upwards of $200,000 in their lifetime on facial products, makeup, creams, all this sort of stuff. We're marketed to hardcore. This is nothing new, but it is a new focus because sex has been taboo for so long that, to now say you need a $200 jade egg. Oh, well, I don't enjoy sex. So maybe that's what I need to fix this. Instead
Right.
of fixing on your relationship to sex mentally,
Mhm.
internally,
Yeah.
it's been the quick fix of another product. It's been, let's steam your vagina. What the fuck for? I don't really understand that one. Um,
I think we need a whole episode on that. Maybe we have a listener that's a pro in vaginal steaming that can come on with us and talk why.
who's got time to steam their vagina?
Well, Frank, nobody's a pro on it because I don't think there's anything researched about it.
No,
So,
there's,
you know,
and it's so cold in Wisconsin. Like my vagina is going to be confused. What temperature are we at here now? Like what's going on, Jess? I don't understand. Why don't you like the roast beef? I don't
no,
understand.
there's too much. And then in the end, you just shove a jade egg up there and walk away. I'm like,
Exactly, exactly. So, Goop is known for putting out some outlandish stuff. Um, like it's just, you're just being marketed to again, and you're just wanting to change an internal problem with something external. Of course, if
mhm,
you are having actual physical issues, and need help with something, I know people that have needed vaginal rejuvenation, not because they want a better looking pussy, as they say, like trying to restore myself to what I looked like at 18, but because, after having kids, they were having legitimate physical issues.
oh
Uh,
yeah,
but we're, like now, you're hearing about vaginal rejuvenation as a,
beauty
procedure,
standard, a beauty standard, you
right?
know?
Yeah, I mean, I've been with plenty of men that have not rejected mine based on appearance. They don't seem to mind. So I guess I'm not going to spend thousands of dollars on that. But, like why this is happening, you're being marketed to.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I guess the moral of the story is this, like, though I love media placements, I think they're fun, and it's exciting when you get one. Just do your due diligence. Not every article you read in Cosmo or some of these big magazines geared towards women are going to be accurate,
Right.
So,
Nobody's fact checking these people. They ask for experts and
well, I think they're assuming that the experts have already fact checked themselves, you
yeah.
know?
But what we're
So,
seeing is the rise of coaches who have no credentials. I could have, 10 years ago launched coaching with no education, put the shingle on my door and said, here I am. And I could say I'm an expert. And then I could go to this magazine and say, hey, I'm an expert in this. And they would go, oh, wow, you are. So let's just print whatever she says. They, like they don't fact check these things. And, like anyone could say they're an expert without actually being an expert.
Right. And like I said, we both have coaching products out there.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, choosing wisely who you work with and understanding what their complete background brings to the table. And if their background is just, I've been there,
run for the hills.
Run for the hills.
Just run for the hills.
I mean, there's something to be said for like, if let's say the weight loss industry, like if you're working with someone who has never experienced the emotional pieces of losing weight and things like that, I would like somebody that can relate a little bit, but I don't want somebody who hinges their entire program on, I've done this thing and I'm going to show you how to do this thing that I've already done,
right.
So
when it comes to your physical body, please be making sure that you're working with someone that's very qualified. When it comes to weight loss, yes, like someone that's walked their path. But most people have. But they also could have gotten there through a place that's incredibly unhealthy. They might have disordered eating. Like just because they got there doesn't mean that the way in which they got there was actually healthy. And the way you think about that, your relationship with food is still the underlying issue there. Right. And I think that's the same when it comes to sex coaching is, it's actually part of your physical body, but it really is more about your mental relationship with your body, your experience of sex, your partner. There's so many things there
things that have happened to you in your past. Yeah. Like there's a lot to unwrap, it's not just stick a jade egg up there and, it's so interesting because it's not like your physical body is the problem.
Right.
And frankly, it might not even be you, to be honest. It could be an issue that your partner is experiencing that's kind of being projected onto you. And you've taken that as like, there's something wrong with me. Mm-hmm. So, again, it's a two-way street here. So.
Right. And the thing is, like you deserve appropriate treatment. Just be aware and cautious of the shock value and the prettiness. Because, I don't sell to people, and I think maybe that's why I don't sell out. I don't like selling to people. Like if you want to be a part of, my coaching or, my soon to be membership, then I just want to open that to people and have them come if they want to, but I don't like the aspect of selling to people. And I think that a lot of people are getting sold to, and, like this article was about vaginal kung fu, which is literally the act of lifting weights with your vaginal muscles. So yes, it's shocking and it catches your attention, but just know you're being sold to. And, like the before and after that they display sounds really wonderful. Well, I mean, like she talks about having orgasms like 15 times a day. Like, I don't know about y'all, but
I have time for that. Like,
I don't know about y'all, but I got shit to do. Like
I'm working, like
here in session, also orgasming while I'm working with people. Like
my life is fulfilled because I have 15 orgasms during a day.
No, I mean, I'm good with one really good one, not 15 little ones. I don't know.
Okay, now wait a minute. Hold on. I'm going to say this. Like maybe if we had OnlyFans and we needed to orgasm 15 times a day to get paid on OnlyFans,
Then we need that jade egg.
Yeah, that's right. We need. I don't have an OnlyFans.
I'm gonna make it OnlyFans. It's gonna be my review of a jade egg. Then I'm gonna try to weightlift a feather. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, there you go. And just build up from there. So
my OnlyFans would be disturbing. Like, I'm probably more like only grams. Grandmas that are making pies and stuff like that. That's probably more my gist.
We're gonna make disturbing OnlyFans page.
It's not gonna be sexy. It's gonna be like, why? What is what is going on here, but
That's
I'm here
funny.
for it. Yeah.
Too funny. All right. So, moral of the story, know who you're working with, guys. Like, don't fall for the shiny new thing, and, don't take it personally if you can't lift a bowling ball with your vagina.
Right.
End of story. All right. Okay. Well, that's been another episode of the Feisty Aphrodite. And let's see, if you have any comments or you want to know a topic, please send us an email. Our contact information is in the show notes. What am I missing? That's it. I'm Dr. Teralyn, and I'm here with Jess about sex. And yeah. You deserve pleasure. That's the ending, right? You deserve, remember, you deserve
pleasure.
Real pleasure, not the jade egg sort of pleasure. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.